Hi, welcome. Welcome to the Frankfurt Theater. It is the last day of TwitchCon, and this is the gayest panel at TwitchCon.
Yes, the gayest panel.
You all look really cute applauding for us. So I'm going to let my gay Avengers here introduce themselves, and then I'll talk a little bit about myself and about the panel, and then we're just going to kind of bullshit for 45 minutes. There will be a period of time at the end for a little LGBT Q&A, but that's right, I reuse jokes. So that'll happen at the end. So if while you're listening to us talk, you have a question, you have something that pops into your brain, hold on to it. There are mics. We'll get to that at the end. So starting with this lovely creature to my right. Please introduce
Hi.
yourself.
I'm the Green Lantern, since we're going to do with the Avengers.
The Green Lantern is my favorite Avenger.
I know. Something with skin tights, okay. My name is Shamanom. It's great to meet y'all. I'm your TwitchCon 2019 ambassador.
Yes.
I stream a lot of Final Fantasy 14, so I really love Final Fantasy 14. I will never stop talking about Final Fantasy 14. Yeah, I play Overwatch, I play Heroes of the Storm. I just love y'all. Thank y'all for being here. You can find me everywhere, Shamanom TV. And off to this wonderful buckaroo.
Hi everyone, my name's Nikatine. I'm a role player. I'm also trans. Thank you. Yeah, I do a lot of characters. So, hi everyone, welcome. And you?
And I'm mischacrossing. I have been streaming for a couple of years. I focus a lot on blind playthroughs of Nintendo games and story-driven games, and a lot of focus on sex positivity and comprehensive sex education in my streams, and just building a really comfy space for people to hang out. And I'm mischacrossing on Twitter, Instagram as well.
Hello, and I apologize in advance because my voice is very dead from the weekend, so. I'm Bloody. I'm also trans. I stream Magic the Gathering Arena pretty exclusively, and as, you know, the folks before me and the folk after me, I also highly value very inclusive spaces and trying to make sure everyone's comfortable and proud of themselves where they are at all times, and especially my Twitch chat. And it's just Bloody on Twitter or on Twitch. And then we can use profanity.
Thanks, bitch. I was waiting like, oh my God. Thanks, Adam, for saying shit, because I was like, oh my God. All right, so my name is Ceddy. I'm from... Bitch! Yes. I'm from Malaysia. Thank God, you know, my plane didn't go missing. R.I.P., you know. Yeah, so, yes, they are all gamers. I'm not a gamer, I'm a gamer. And, but because I'm trash at games, usually I do talk shows, just chatting. Yeah, I rely on people to give me views. Yeah, so from Malaysia, crazy, loud. You guys can catch me at twitch.tv/greendumpling. And Ceddy or not on Twitter, because Twitter is a, anyway.
We won't talk about Twitter.
Well, that's a tough act to follow. My name's Adam Coble. I'm a full-time Twitch broadcaster. I do a lot of role-playing game stuff. And every year at TwitchCon, since way back when, I have been either a part of or the orchestrator of the Gayest panel. And it brings great joy to my heart to see all of you here. So this panel serves several purposes, one of which is to give me an opportunity, give me a platform, and thanks to Twitch for helping me with this year, to highlight some cool gays you might not know about. So we've already accomplished that. Hopefully you will come away from today's panel and you will follow or subscribe to or pay deep, loving affection to at least one of the panelists up here. Right, sure, it's not a competition. So the other purpose is just to kind of check in together as a community, to talk a little bit about how the last year has gone, how things are in the space for LGBTQIA+ streamers, for our audiences, for the community at large, and kind of just see what's been going on. We're going to talk a little bit about our struggles, we're going to talk a little bit about our successes, and hopefully we will inspire and interest you to maybe someday join us up here and do this thing. So I want to talk a little bit, and I always kind of start with this. I want to talk a little bit about brand. I want to talk about our sort of public-facing experience, right? How important is it for all of you that your audience knows about the queer parts of your identity? How big of a deal is that for you?
Can I
Do it.
So how I run my stream, it used to be like a very heavy focus on my trans issues. Like I'm a trans woman, and there's a lot of. I mean, I feel like being a trans woman on Twitch is like kind of inherently political almost. But what I've done lately is I've found the roleplay community, which is sort of like not super focused on trans rights, and I've slowly started to infiltrate. And pretty soon, there's a lot of people who otherwise would not have heard of anything involving trans rights, and and now they're finally starting to become aware of it. So I think my approach has been one of subterfuge.
An important tool in the gay agenda.
Yeah, to chime onto that, in Magic, there's actually like a really refreshing amount of trans women and just trans folk in the competitive community, not so much as streaming. So I'd say it's really important to me to try to educate, folks who have been playing Magic for 10 years, 20 years, and they might be nice people, but maybe not the most inclusive because they don't know. And so while my brand is, I'm pretty competitive, I like to just be generally wholesome, I want to make it very apparent that people could be here to feel comfortable and people can be here to learn. Like, people can ask me and I can share my experiences, because sometimes it just takes learning about one trans person's issues to figure out that maybe something you're doing is insensitive, or like, there's a big thing where you queue up into someone in Magic Arena and most of the streamers say he or him for the opponent, like that guy I'm playing against. And so it's like a big thing to try to go around to even streamers and tell people like, well, this is why I say my opponent like they or them, or that person, and just try to spread around why it's important and why someone feels something about it.
I think for my stream personally, I try to make, I already have a pretty queer community, and I know that my base is already going to be pretty educated and aware of how to interact in that sort of space. But I also try to make, queerness kind of like a casual conversation topic just throughout the stream and throughout my content, so that when people are coming in, they might not know that it's a queer space when they first come in, but they see that even though there might be stigma attached to queerness and LGBT plus issues, it can just be a casual, normal part of conversation, because gay people are casual and normal, and we're here and we're not going anywhere, and people need to know that it's a normal thing that you need to be aware of.
I super agree. Just like normalizing LGBTQ, like humanizing people too. It's not, you're not just a population or just a group of people, like you're everyone amongst us. Like,
But is normal really fun though?
Huh?
I said, but is normal really fun though? I like being extra sometimes. Yeah, I love being extra sometimes. I know that I always hang out.
Sometimes.
I knew it was coming. I walked into it. But yeah, I embrace it, and I just think about it every day, because as a person of color, sometimes you just really don't know what's going to happen. So I just love seeing like more gays, more lesbians, more trans, more queer people on our platform. So it's always an open door. Come by as you are, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, for me, I don't even have to say anything, and people be like, "Oh, hi, G-A-Y." I'm like, "Yes," and I'm owning it, because for me, well, we are gonna be here. We're gonna be here to stay, And if you wanna come in and be disrespectful to the LGBT, bitch, I'm gonna clock you. Okay? Yeah.
We all clock them. Like,
Yeah.
I know I do.
clock them. We don't keep up.
I don't care. It's like,
Excellent self-control. Very nice. So do you feel like that's different? Do you feel like that's something that's new, that you are able to be open and that your community follows along with that, or is that something that's always been the case for you and hasn't changed in terms of how difficult it is?
I don't think it's very difficult at all. Most of my community are like moms. and they just love, right? And they just they just want to nurture the community. Like if they're not too sure about like, how it is to be in the day-to-day of like, being gay and just waking up, and it's not like I flip a coin and said, you know what? I'm gonna be gay for the rest of my life now.
I choose to be gay.
Exactly. Oh, that's my favorite. You chose this.
Yeah, I chose.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I chose to be persecuted some days, all the day.
So it sounds like you all have an environment around you of pretty significant positivity, right? You have a community that supports you for who you are, and that's kind of a given. Do you find that you struggle with adding new members to that community and getting them into that place, or do you just attract people that are already going to be chill about it?
I think one of my favorite things about Twitch is every so often I'll see somebody in chat saying like, oh my gosh, you're trans. I'm so happy that there are trans people on Twitch. Like I've never seen it before. I'm so happy that you exist. And I'm like, oh, I got news for you. I've got some really good news. Yeah, it's my favorite thing.
I feel like it's all too often that someone shows up just because of, competitive gameplay or whatever, and they're just here for magic, and then suddenly they're just part of the community. Like suddenly, maybe they're gay, maybe they're trans, or maybe they just have a friend, or they're trying to be a good ally. And so I feel like pretty frequently someone comes in, and pretty frequently someone sticks around and learns a lot and joins the community.
Yeah, and I think queer spaces will inherently attract queer people or inclusive people and allies to the community, which is really, really nice. They just kind of all flock together.
Oh yeah, all the magic gays just flock to my
Yeah.
channel. I love it.
I've got all the Nintendo gays.
Excuse me.
It's great.
All the gays are magic.
Yes.
So is that a sustainable thing? Like, can we exist as a community of broadcasters who, at least for some of us, do this as a living? Can we exist off of this internalized economic structure, right? If we're only being paid by other people who are in the LGBT space, and we're only paying other queers, and it becomes inverse, can we live off that? Is that something that's sustainable?
There's a meme about how trans women just have like one $20 bill and we just pass it back. You've heard it. It's like just pass it back and forth.
I've never heard of this one before.
Yeah, we all have one $20 bill betwixt us, and we just pass it back and forth.
Got it.
But so I genuinely think that no, it's not sustainable. That we need to be able to reach out and form a lasting bond with people who aren't part of the LGBT community, because we have a lot to offer.
Well, for me, my audience, usually they're not just the LGBT, but usually the women are the ones the ladies are the ones who are super supportive. So I'm like, oh my God, if I have to depend on just the LGBT, I'll be broke, Damn. So this is why I'm always trying to be trashy on my stream, because I know a lot of ladies in here. There you go, the one that's, yeah. I survived off her. Yeah. And the ladies are usually, for me, the best supporters ever, because they don't come to me and be like, oh my God, I like you because you're LGBT. I like you because of who you are. You are loud and proud. Bitch! Yes.
So how do we do that? How do we make the straights give us their money?
Well.
That's what this panel's really about. We're going to try to figure that out.
Subterfuge.
Twitch Prime.
Yeah.
Right. Well, like on a more serious note, there is that thing that if we have the trans $20 bill and we keep passing it around, the problem is every time that in this environment, every time that bill gets passed around, a percentage of it gets sliced off the top and passed up to our great purple overlords until it's not a $20 bill anymore. It's a handful of pennies, right? So how do we, and by we I mean like you, because this is our panel. How do you appeal to that audience, knowing that that for us to survive, we need to have money coming from outside the community? What tactics do you have? What do you do? Do you find that you need to downplay your gayness, or do you have other tools for?
Oh, I use CUNT, charisma, uniqueness, nerve, and talent.
Yes.
So, I mean, that is the only way for me, it's all about the content. And I don't really go out there and be like, oh my God, I'm gay, I'm do that. I'm just being myself all the time. And, when I do talk shows, I know sometimes you have straight people coming in and be like, oh my God, you are gay. I'm like, bitch. Even if you are not, I don't care if you are straight or gay. It's not like just because you say hi, I want to suck you. But anyway, my point is, it's always the content, and I don't really, try to extra gay myself or, or suppress it. I'm just being myself all the fucking time. Yeah, and if they like me, they stay for over 15 minutes. Like, bitch, give me the money. Yes.
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 Yeah, I think a big thing of it is it's not just LGBTQ folks who want to be comfortable. Everyone wants to be comfortable.
Yes.
But sometimes you don't realize that. If it's not prevalent in your day-to-day, you don't realize how good it feels to be in a space where you could just be yourself and be comfortable. It doesn't matter if you're gay or not. And I think really promoting just inclusive spaces for everybody, everyone can sit down, have fun, and feel comfortable. And it doesn't have to be just the gays. It could be all of us together.
Yeah, and I think what I was saying earlier about making it sort of a casual queer space where it might not be the focus all the time, but queer issues just will naturally get brought up, and showing that that's a casual thing that you can talk about, make people feel understood and welcomed. And I think what Bloody was saying, how that just kind of will apply to everyone and make everyone feel safe and included on top of the queer community.
Right, so it's about creating an environment of generalized acceptance
Yeah.
and then applying that to anyone that's in that space.
I think that's a good way to describe it, yeah.
Just being a nice human. Just
Yeah.
preaching that. It's like you'll be surprised how many people are like, I guess I'm not really a nice human. I like being treated like a nice human. I like being a nice human.
Do you
Like
think?
clicks.
Do you think that's normal? Because I think there are a lot of spaces in Twitch, particularly, where being loud garbage gets you subscribers.
Oh, for sure. It's
Dopey acting shocked.
I'm not calling anybody out, but I'm just saying, sometimes that's a thing.
It's definitely like a very relevant thing is, I try not to look at viewer count, but I notice if someone says something explicitly rude and I call them out and I try to calmly say, like, this is why someone feels bad about the thing you said, I'll lose viewers. Some people are just there for the shit. Some people are just there for being angry and yelling. But there's an amount of people that will hear this for the first time that will stick around. And hopefully, slowly, more and more people will not just be in it for shock value, but, be in it to all be happy.
Yeah, I think it's quality over quantity, and even though you might lose a few viewers because you're speaking out about something important, the fact that you're speaking out about something important is going to keep the people around that you want to keep around, that you want to have in your community, that you want to have supporting you.
Yeah.
In my opinion, if those people leave, they're lost.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think some of the best feels was, obviously I'm very happy when trans folk and LGBTQ people reach out to me and say that they feel really comfortable, but the best thing was like when the first cis het white guy was like, wow, I use they them pronouns now, and now I know why it's important. I was like, I win.
Right?
Yes.
I did it. Oh, that was so good.
Yes, another round of applause for this cis white het man. God knows they don't get it enough. So I have a question in terms of sort of broadcasting this stuff and kind of letting people know what to expect when they come into your channel. Do you broadcast using the LGBTQIA tag?
Oh, absolutely.
Yes.
I have some thoughts.
Yeah, it's like the first thing that I
Share
go through,
your
first tag.
Listen, please, your thoughts.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
go ahead.
Well, so there's the LGBTQIA tag on Twitch. How many of you use it? Raise your hands if you use it. Oh, cool. That's a fair number of you.
Money.
Has anybody noticed that there seems to be a glaring lack of a trans tag? Amongst trans people, it's very difficult to find each other. And one of the very first common experiences that I know about many trans people on Twitch is how we always try to find each other. It's very difficult for marginalized people to find each other sometimes. And so when we had communities, it was very easy. There was a trans community, there were a few actually. And now that tags are a thing, it's like it's very difficult to find each other anymore. And it's almost impossible. I know that on the dashboard, you can see like where your views come from by tag. And most of them are like 5%, 4%, and LGBTQIA is like 90% because people have to like sift through that tag so often. They're always clicking on it to try and find what they want to find, and it's frustrating. So, trans tag win, hashtag trans tag win.
So when you stream with that tag, do you find that it makes you a target? Do you have people come into your chat looking for?
I'm a target anyway. I'm gonna
Same.
be a target anyway, and whether or not I'm streaming to a tag, and you don't have to stream to any tag if you don't want, but I'm a target anyway. I get trolls. I ban, I don't know how many people every day. My mods are fantastic. Thank you, mods. I'm sure there's mods right now in the Twitch chat right now banning people, and for you guys, I know it's happening, and I just want you to know that, that good.
Yeah.
They deserve it.
Bye.
Given the sometimes insular nature of the queer community and that topic we were discussing before about needing to get support in terms of money and views from outside of that, do you feel like the tag is predominantly beneficial to your experience or harmful?
I think beneficial.
I think, yeah, definitely
Yeah,
beneficial
I've
for
definitely
me.
had an amount of people who are like, I just saw the tag and I came in here and I love this stream and I'm having a lot of fun and it's nice to find each other. I think I actively look through Magic channels that have that tag too and just
Yeah.
like, I mean, the gays, we flock to each other. It's
Right.
nice.
Yeah.
But it's not just because it's funny, no, like because we say the gays flock to each other, but it's because like you can trust some spaces to be comfortable and friendly, and sometimes, you know, you as a day-to-day viewer might not know who you could walk in on and see someone be really terrible, and it could ruin your day. You know, like you never know. So
Yeah, for me, definitely. I don't see a lot of people that are of color that are a part of our community, and I just really wanted to just like set a precedent and set a tone that it's okay to be comfortable in your skin. It's okay for you to, you know, just be yourself. And obviously, we're going to get trolls, and we love banning trolls. It's so much fun.
You guys are so lucky. Usually when I don't know, maybe it's a mixed thing for me, but if I use the tag and usually when people come in and just to harass me, I'm like, okay, first of all, I know you guys are trying to do something, but where the hell did you find me from? And then somebody responded one time, the LGBTQ tag, bitch. I'm like, what the?
To me, I'm like, who hurt you?
I don't know.
That's the first thing that goes to my
But
mind.
I feel that every time I use that on it, oh my God, the influx of all these goddamn troll ass bitches, they will come to me and they will say all this nastiest thing. So I'm like, this is why sometimes I turn it off, because when I'm doing talk shows and I have some guests on it, the last thing I want is for them to come in and just try to disrupt the whole feeling, the whole vibe and all that. So for me, it's kind of like a mixed experience for me.
Yeah, I've started to condition myself sometimes. It's not, there's a time and place to say something. Like if you're, like you do talk shows, so like if you are really engaging with your guest, you just care about that. But even though you always peek at the chat, you always look at it, the first thing that goes to your mind is like, I really want to go off on you, but I'm just being civil for right now. I'm just gonna wait for 30 minutes.
Yeah, I have a
and then do
guest,
it.
so I'm gonna let you leave for now. Hold on, yeah. But usually I will just get my mods to do their job because they are the
Yeah.
best here, you know.
So the amount of times, the problem is, you know, with good mods, and it's really great.
Yes.
The problem is that people try to go further, and so I can't tell you how many times and how frequently on a day-to-day that someone will just spend all their time making accounts to follow me and say
Right.
really terrible things in the follow. So at this point, I have my notifications popped up at a delay. I have a button on my Stream Deck to just shut off the notifications because I don't want to give them validation or screen time. So sometimes if someone says something on the border of rude or not, and I feel like they can learn from it or someone can learn from it, I talk about it. But if it's just like blatantly hateful things, like I'll press the button, it's gone. I don't want anyone to see. I don't want you to be validated. I don't want your behavior to be rewarded by being watched by viewers at all. So I think there's like different brands of what is like tolerable bullshit or what you just like, it sucks and you need to get rid of it. And you don't want anyone to see it because no one's happy when they see it.
Yeah, I've had some friends that have removed themselves from streaming in the LGBTQIA plus tag because they've had just such an influx of negativity and trolls, and that on one hand, I feel like you can pry this tag away from my cold, dead hands. I don't want to get rid of it. I want to show that I'm here and I'm queer, and I don't want to hide that. But at the same time, looking out for your community is really important as well, because when you see all that hate and negativity, that can be so incredibly heavy for someone coming in as a viewer, and for you as the streamer as well. So I think it's really important to know that if you do want to use the tag, that's great, but if you're queer and you don't want to use the tag because of that, like, that's also okay, and you shouldn't feel like less queer or like less in the community because of that.
Right, and that's a great point and kind of segues into what I was going to talk about next, that idea of like what responsibility do we have as being in that spotlight, being open, right? Coming out to our audience, to social media, to people, and that recurring having to come out on the regular basis and deal with that. Is that something that we have a responsibility to do, or is it okay to just hide and pretend? I mean, I don't get mistaken for a straight very often anymore, but I used to, right? So like, is it our job to absorb some of that because we have this platform?
I don't
It's
think I
up to
can
you.
hide anymore.
I mean, right?
Some people hear my voice and they just know, so I'm like, okay.
I think it's up to you. I mean, some people don't have the luxury of hiding, and that
Yeah.
sucks. But if you feel like you want to fly under the radar, it's like power to you. You know, I feel my own feels on this, but I think as a general streamer, you do not have a responsibility to uphold being trans is hard enough. If you feel like you don't have the energy to go outwards with it, you can stay with yourself. It's nothing to be ashamed of at all. It's like it's really difficult to put yourself out there to help other people put themselves out there. It's a big cycle, so it depends. I think personally though, I don't know, the way I got through like adolescence was looking at YouTube for those niche little videos of like some trans people
Transition timelines, was it trendy?
Yeah, oh my gosh, r/trans timelines,
Same.
holy moly. But something that got me through the day, and a good 10, 15 years ago, there was way, way less trans positivity in the world, especially the internet.
Yeah.
And, thinking back to what got me through the day is like, I hope that I can have my stream out there and some, baby trans can show up and feel happy and comfortable and not ashamed of themselves. And it's like, I know personally my parents are very transphobic and, I've disconnected from them, and that's something that people have to deal with, and it's really scary, and I want to be there for you because I've felt it. Obviously, I can't feel your feelings, but like, I want to help you relate, and I want to help you feel like you can do it, right? Like you can get through the day as well.
To change topics slightly, does the fact that you are a queer broadcaster affect the kinds of games you choose to play? Do you think about these things? Like, are you more likely to play a game with queer themes or made by queer people, or do you just play whatever and don't think about it?
All of my characters are LGBT. Like every single one of them, and I play a lot of. I'm a role player, and I play a lot of different characters, and every single one of them, they're always either lesbian or trans or something.
I had
and it's like not even like that big of a deal for the character. It's just like a minor footnote in the character. But if it ever comes up, it's like a very consistent thing across all my stuff.
Someone asked me once to share an anecdote. Someone asked me once what it's like role playing as a straight person, and I was like, it's like the first 20 years of my life, I guess. We're all very good at pretending. I think that's why like role playing games are so attractive to queer folks, because we're used to addressing identity in that way.
Yeah, absolutely.
But what about for the rest of you? Like, do you choose the games that you play? Do you think about this stuff?
No, I don't think about it because when I play
don't
Overwatch,
either.
League of Legends, I care about how well my teammates are playing. It's not about their sexuality. I play whatever I want. Yeah, and if they have to hear my voice and they be like, well, shut up. It's not because I'm gay or what. It's because you suck. You trash. Okay? You
It's like
lost
they're
the game not because I'm
compensating.
being gay. It's because you trash. You garbage as DPS. Yeah.
I'm a degenerate card gamer, so I don't really care. I'm playing Magic because I want to win Magic games. I'm not playing Magic because it's a queer inclusive space. It happens to be so, and that's great, but I'm playing it because I want to play the game. I didn't really think twice about it. I more so thought, like, how could I make this gayer rather than how gay is this already?
Right. And I think that's a recurring theme, right? That like whatever I play becomes gay
Yes.
Yeah.
by my
Yes.
touching it. I am the King Midas of queerness. Yeah, I think that's a great approach, right? I think that's true.
I think it's also, I play a big variety of games. I know some people stick to a certain type, but I love playing indie games, and I definitely do try to look out for things that are more queer inclusive or made by queer developers. And there are different events that highlight these too, which is really important to, I think, keep a lookout for those and highlight those when they can. But I know people have different content that they focus on, but for me, I go through so many different games, so when I can work in queer games, I think it's really important too. My community really responds to that as well.
Okay, I'll be real. I'm happy that you said DPS because the last time we played Overwatch, I was your tank. I was like, hey, I'm not trash. But no, I love playing everything. Mostly Final Fantasy 14. What did I do?
No. Was I playing support or DPS? Because I would not play DPS.
No,
unless
you're
it's
playing
Symmetra.
support.
Yes.
You're playing, yes.
Support life. Yes. yes, support. Yes.
But I love my like MMORPGs, and to me, I usually spend a lot of time in glamour because I want my character to look really fucking sexy.
Right, so I wanted to ask you specifically about this because I've noticed this, especially in the last year.
Yes.
Is Final Fantasy XIV the gayest MMO?
Yeah, yes. I mean, Guild Wars 2 is also really good too.
Guild Wars also.
It's all about the fashion. Like even like Warframe too, fashion frame. You can sit there for hours or
Fashion
days.
frame? Warframe is fashion frame?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that. Oh, shit.
It's all rubber
Yeah.
and
It's a
latex.
deep dark hole.
Yeah.
You can take that any which way you
Look into
want.
that.
But I will sit there for like days, like doing dungeons and grinding just for one specific piece, just for me to look really, really gay.
Right. Sure.
Like, oh yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah, well, and I think that's sort of the whole thing, right? Is that we have experiences, shared experiences as queer people, and certain games will attract us to them. But by extension, the more queer people that play a game and engage in its community, by extension, the gayer that game becomes. So that's cool. We have this ability to twist these things to
What's
make
also
them fit.
really nice is it happens to be that Wizards of the Coast are very inclusive, and they try really hard on making everyone feel comfortable. So it's not only like you kind of vibe with the developers, right? Like the developers see that there are LGBTQ folk, and they try to, if you're lucky in this kind of space, they try to pump them up and they try to promote them because they want all representatives of their game. And so it's really nice to see more and more developers get into it as well instead of just the streamers.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And I know. So Bloody, like I know you have a close relationship with Wizards and with Magic, and obviously Magic it's a lot queerer now than it was when I played it in early 2000s.
Yeah.
And you have that positive relationship. Are there any other companies or groups that you've all worked with that you felt embraced that part of your brand? They embraced the fact that you were trans or queer, or is it still hard out there to make those connections?
Honestly, Wizards were the first ones
Yeah.
that I felt were like pretty explicitly out there to help.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't really see it too often.
And I always find this to be a challenge and something that as a community we kind of face, where there's a lot of lip service a lot of the time of like, yes, we embrace gamers of all kinds. And you're like, cool, can I have a sponsorship? And they're like, we embrace gamers of most kinds.
Bitch, that's a disrespect. Oh my God. Damn.
Right, but it's still one of those things that I think is a hurdle in front of us, and that fact that we do kind of have to struggle to make those connections is
Yeah,
a thing.
Definitely.
And then the idea of having to downplay your queerness for business purposes can be really, really tricky, or downright impossible in some cases. So when you're reaching out to people to collaborate with, or to like co-stream, or you're maybe joining a new RPG, what do you look for? How do you sort of test people to see if they're going to be safe to work with?
I look to see the other brands or the other sponsors that any particular brand has sponsored, to see like who's kind of their market, like if a brand is reaching out to some people who are very, very toxic to the queer community, I'm probably not gonna be anywhere near them with a 10-foot pole.
Sure.
So.
And is that the same with working with other broadcasters? Like you'll go back and look at their
Most of the
social
time,
media?
yeah, most of the time. So when I first started streaming, I got a very large 1,000-person, horrible toxic raid from somebody. I don't think I can legally say who, but it was a nightmare. Like I'd never had anybody in my chat before, and suddenly there were 1,000 people saying like it was surreal, like saying like the worst things they could possibly think of, and I noticed that the next day about 30 of them came back. Because they didn't mind. They thought it was kind of nice, and they liked me, and they wanted to keep going. So it can be pretty awful, but there can be some good things out of it too. So.
I think when I go to co-op, I usually co-op with women. I find just like most women streamers are at least a bit more inclusive because, women have their own issues as well.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
I don't think I've co-op with any guys.
I do co-op with the men, but the ladies that I co-op with, they are fucking amazing ADC DPS. I'm telling you, ladies, who's DPS ladies here? Who plays DPS? Damn, power to y'all. Because that's the thing, I'm a support main. So when I play with somebody, actually it's not so much about, if they're in LGBT or they're supporting, it's like, are you good? Can you carry me? Because I need to go back to plat,
So it sounds like it's easier to partner with or work with other people who have experienced marginalization in their own lives. Yeah. So how do we fix that? Again, because it seems to be a recurring theme, this thing where we're all very inward focused, right? How do we get to a place where it can be safer to get into some of those spaces that maybe we haven't been invited into before?
I feel like it's almost like, when you work out your muscles, like they tear and grow back stronger. It's almost like you want to share. It's unfortunate, but this is the only way some people resonate is you share, how much it could hurt or how much you've gone through or what your experience has been. Maybe the bigger you are, the more people get to see it and the more people will start feeling, unfortunately, like people will sometimes only be inclusive because they feel bad otherwise, but maybe it starts building healthy habits. So I've noticed that in the Magic community, there's been like a pretty positive influx of like, someone says something negative, everyone calls them out, that person actually starts feeling bad and apologizes, and then like I've actually had a Magic streamer reach out to me like, hey, I think I said something accidentally transphobic and now I feel really bad. Can you tell me like why what I said was bad so I could learn? So I think the more your problems are out there and the more we're out there and the more we represent ourselves, the more people feel for us as humans.
So how much of that work do you feel like we're responsible for? Like if someone comes into the chat, and I'm sure everyone has experienced this, where they're like, I don't understand you, explain to me. How much of that do you feel like we need to do?
It feels like it's like once a stream.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At least. Yeah.
I normally just like give them the whole rundown, just give them my whole life story. I'm like, well, I was growing up with Jesus a lot. My family went to church every day, like literally every day. So it was very hard for me to come out and talk about those issues. And I didn't really have that many people to talk about. I had one church girl, her name's Amanda. I love her to pieces. Went to school together, I told her everything. And I finally came out in high school, and she was like, I already knew. I was just waiting for you to tell me. And the best thing about it was that we still talk, like, at least once a week. And I let her know what's going on in my life, and she's like, I'm just so happy. I'm happy that you're the first person, you wanted to tell and talk about it. Yeah, and then in high school, I used to get bullied a lot, so I just dealt with that. And yada, yada, yada. From right now, it's just really good that you have that one person, and if you can find that one person, that's great. I just started to cultivate that and think about that in my community. Like, I just feel like I take the individual one by one and just say, like, we all hurt, we all go through shit. So just do you, be you, and enjoy.
It sounds like a lot of work.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
It is a lot of work. I don't mind putting in the work. So.
Sometimes
I don't know
it's
how you feel.
exhausting. It's I don't know. I'm very happy to talk about my experiences, but sometimes it gets to be a bit much. Like, someone will come in pretty innocently, so tell me about it. Well, what is trans? And I'm like, okay, we'll Google it. Like, there's. I'm very happy to talk about my experiences, but there's an amount of people that almost like the novelty of having some big trans streamer explain what being trans is, and like you can Google these things and get your background knowledge. If you come to me with questions about experiences or specifics, that's great, but like Google is your friend. Like there are definitions on this.
Yeah, they can go
Some
to
people don't care
Wikipedia
to
and
do
get
the
all that
research.
shit,
It's
right?
not your fault that they are uneducated. I always have people coming like, why are you gay? I'm like, why are you ugly? Like, I don't... What do you mean, why? What do you mean? And then they follow, because, there's only supposed to be 2 genders. I'm like, shut the fuck up. Go back to Google. It's not my fault you're uneducated. I'm not here to be a teacher, bitch. Damn, why are you gay? Oh my God.
There's like a certain strand of ignorance that comes with going on the internet to typing in your question somewhere that's not Google to get a definition. What is the definition of being trans? Like literally copy paste your thing, read it, and come to me with actual opinions, and we can talk about it. But it's
That's what I thought LGBT stood for. Let
Yeah.
Google be teacher.
yeah.
Yeah.
It sucks. Sometimes it feels like intentional ignorance.
Yeah, I have a command. I have a command because people will come in and like ask what LGBTQIA+ means and why I'm streaming under that tag. So because it gets exhausting, like you said, just explaining it over and over again. So I have a quick command that gives a rundown of like what the letters mean. But in the same breath, it's not our job to educate people. It's not our job to give people definitions, because this is our lives, and we don't owe it to people to explain ourselves and justify ourselves and give definitions of ourselves. But I don't know. I go through moods because I do like educating people and I do like talking about these topics, but just sometimes it becomes too much and it's exhausting. And I'm just like, just go to Google.
Some of them are just malicious.
Yeah, you can tell though.
Okay, there are
There's
some
some
who
are
are
genuine.
nuanced.
Yeah, but some you're genuinely wanting to learn, and then sometimes you get these idiots like, oh, what about if I identify myself as an attack helicopter? I'm like, go and crash and burn then. Like, what the
Right?
hell? Damn.
There's a lot of feigned ignorance. There's a lot of like, it's really tough dissecting people's questions, right? Like you never know if someone's innocently asking something or if someone's just, trolling you. And so I really try to politely direct people to dictionary definitions so they can learn, they can look at some forums and stuff, and then come back to me and we can talk about it.
A lot of people don't know this, but if you /users, if any of your mods /user space the username in your chat, you can pull up a history of what that user has said, and you can totally see it's a very important, and most people don't know about it. I have explained it so many times, but it's a fantastic tool for you and your mods, and you can really get to see you know, who's acting in bad faith when they ask, you know, are you trans? Are you trans? Are you boy or girl for the 17th time? You know that they're not acting in good faith.
You could turn on a setting so when you click on someone's name, it pops up with how many times they've been timed out to, or if they're following or not. And you can tell, you know, if someone's been following for 2 months and hasn't said a word, and they ask a thing, it's like, you put yourself out there to ask that question, I'm happy to answer it. Sometimes it's like,
Account created this morning.
exactly.
Right?
And that's when you time it out and be like, okay, please Google it. But like, unfortunately, you don't have the time to look through every single viewer, and so they're like, you have to muddle down your answers to generalizing, like, please know about this and come to me with something a little more specific. And hopefully you're not turning off anyone who like really put themselves out there and was trying to be brave to ask a question. But also hopefully you get to shut some people down who are just trying to get you to say it for troll purposes.
Oh, they do it to me all the time. They wait until I'm like really, really like busy doing something. Like everyone's almost dead. Like I'm trying to keep everyone alive. They're like, why are you gay? I'm like, why are you here? Like you waited. You literally waited. You're like, oh, he's just, everyone runs in. Oh, Tank's dead. DPS is dead, and you're just like rezzing someone. So tell us about your family. Like it's like I want to know everything about you. I'm like, just no.
Damn, you seeing a therapist?
Yeah. That's what I have said that to them. Do you want to see a therapist? Is it okay?
Yeah.
So do we feel like we want to get to a place where that just doesn't happen anymore? Like, do we want to exist in a place where people just stop asking those questions and do that work themselves? Like, do you think that's possible?
I want to exist in a place where that stuff is just common knowledge,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Once you
knowledge.
Once you know what being gay is, then the conversation can start. It's not like we don't want people to ask questions. It's we want people to ask good questions that are
Yes.
useful to everybody else
Right.
and not just repeating definitions.
Yeah.
I mean, I wish that we wouldn't have to go through that, but unfortunately, you know, people will always be people. They don't have to, okay, then, like for me, Asian, right? If they don't come to me and ask me why you gay gonna come in, why are you looking like Kim Jong-un? You know, like, the hell? You're talking to a supreme leader like that now? Damn! Rude! So I don't think we're gonna be able to get to that level. I don't think so. People are trash. Not all. Everyone here is good.
Well, and that's the deeper philosophical question, right? Like, can we eliminate ignorance as a thing from people in general? And that's not our job. We're not gonna fix humanity. And so I think that's, I mean, to the sort of point of the whole panel is like, that's the point of having allies around you, having people who have had these similar experiences, and that we can share this information and we can talk about it, and that we can have a space, however limited it might be, to just kind of hang out and talk. So I have a million more questions for them, and I could just keep doing this, but there's like a lot more of you than there are of me, so I'm gonna give you your opportunity to address us. So the mic is there, the mic is also there, so get your gay ass out of the seat and stand by those mics and ask us some questions, and we will do that until we have no more panel time. Let's start right over here.
First off, I want to say hi and thank you guys all for being here. It really does mean a lot, I think, to every single person in this room that you all are putting yourselves out there to talk to us. I think it's just amazing. So first off, thank you. But second off, as someone who identifies as ace, and for those of you who might not know, asexual, how do you deal with the internal hate in the LGBTQIA community? Because there's a lot of it, and it hurts, because whenever you say, hey, I'm ace, or hey, I'm asexual, and they're like, that doesn't exist, you're wrong. It's like, you're straight, so you can't be a part of our community. Because like, I'm straight, but I'm also asexual, and they're like, sorry, you're not allowed. How do you deal with that?
I think I've said this a few times now, but like just casual queer discussions are really important in my streams, and I do a lot of sex positive and comprehensive sex education talks. And while a lot of my focus can be on like people that do have sex or experience sexual attraction, I always try to show that if you don't experience sexual attraction or you are asexual or on the ace spectrum, like that's still completely normal, and that's I don't want people to be excluded from the conversation, so I try to just casually integrate, because I do have a lot of ace people in my community, so I try to always make sure everybody is feeling included in the conversation.
I have a thing where I tell my chat to define yourselves by the things that you love and not the things that you hate. And if you hate too much, we're gonna ban you. So.
I think a big thing is just like, I don't know, like clapping emoji, like you are valid. Like we're all valid in how our feelings work and how our insides work. And it's like, you are no less or more gay for who you see or how you present. It's how you feel and it's how you are on the inside. And like you're valid. And it's important to validate everybody for feeling the way they are. Like,
Yeah, I think there's like as much as we would like to try to sort of flatten things out, there are hierarchies and taxonomies within the queer community that we struggle with inside and outside of streaming, right? The sort of queer organization, we all have to deal with this newness of information, the way things shift and how we look at each other. And I think it's 100% of the time, 24-hour job to recognize people, like you said, where they're at, right? And so it's not like even anyone up here can just say like, I am perfect at it already. It's something everyone is working on all the time. So thank you for asking that and for holding people accountable for that.
Thank you guys so very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sit it over there. Get it.
Hello. On the topic of that same $20 being passed around, we've talked a lot about the like the front end side of it, like being on the camera and getting sponsors. Are there any back end business development ways to get the more money that's not the same $20?
Well, I mean, I would think that part of your persona, your stream, should really be about creating content that can be consumed by people that aren't just, we talked about this a little bit, about creating content that is accessible to people who aren't just LGBT and making it kind of, through subterfuge.
I think
Yeah, it's really tempting to stream and speak only in the secret gay language that only we know about, but you have to speak other languages so the straights will understand you.
Yeah.
But I think you're right. I think subterfuge and like infiltration without hiding who you are is a big part of it, right? Being able to get into spaces that are not traditionally considered queer spaces and be like, yes, I am doing this thing, right? Like, Bloody, you do this with magic. I do it with role-playing games.
Suddenly people realize that, trans people or queer people are just people, We're no longer just a single issue thing in their minds, like a monument. We're really just human beings.
There is a very special kind of feeling when someone says to you, like, I really like the stuff that you do, and then I found out that you're a queer person, and I still really like the stuff that you do, and I'm like, haha, yes.
I think a big thing of that in the back end is, I think naturally we go through more struggle and we end up maturing more. And I think that's something that businesses don't realize and they value. They value working with mature partners. And you talk to them about your experiences, how you feel and how you value your content, what you create and what you do. It matters. As someone who is LGBTQ, they're not intrinsically, they're not just better than someone else, but you faced a lot of struggle. When you faced a lot of struggle, you're a marginalized group. And it's important to express that you have matured through this and your values and how you feel. A lot of people, it won't cross their minds. And when you bring it up to companies, they value that as well.
Cool. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Marsha, or Jane Sable on Twitch. First off, trans rights are human rights. Sorry,
rights.
Twitch trolls.
The sky is blue, water is wet.
So I wanted maybe a quick fire question. There's a lot of trans streamers that are different stages of their transition on Twitch. Do you have any tips for pre-transition streamers and how to support every step of the transition, because it's a community and everyone has to be there for each other?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. First of all, congratulations to anyone who has finally come to that realization and said, yeah, clap, yep, for you. Congratulations. I am very proud of you, and we all are very proud of you. And I'm so proud of you for making that first big, scary step, and I think it's wonderful. I would say document everything. Take pictures and keep them. You're gonna want to have like a transition diary. I still go back and I read my first few entries in my transition diary. I was such an innocent, sweet person back then. But a lot of people are nervous when they stream, and because it's a very vulnerable thing to be a streamer and to put your life on on display like that. And what I would suggest is find a community. Transmission Gaming, I don't want to do a plug here, but Transmission Gaming is a fantastic community of trans gamers on Discord. We have a stream team as well, and it's all trans people, and it's incredibly supportive, and it's very welcoming to people who are questioning. So please give that a look if you're interested.
I think I can echo that community is really important, because I think there are points in my life even before transitioning, but being out, where I felt so pretty, I felt so happy, I felt myself like I was just the most adorable human being. And whether I was or wasn't actually relevant, I felt that way because my peers, like, I think proper pronouns are so important. Like, if you get misgendered, it's like a sink in your stomach, it sucks. But you get properly gendered and it feels great, and people compliment you and people are happy with you, and everyone understands in these kinds of communities like what it feels like to be complimented. And so it's so nice. I think it makes or breaks such an experience in Twitch, is like being surrounded by people who make you feel like the happiest you.
Cool. Thank you.
Hey guys.
Oh my God, that's the face of the hey guys emote. Oh my God. Oh my God, that's her.
You know me, Green Dumpling?
I don't know you. You may not been on my show, but yes.
Thank you, thank you. And thank you guys so much for sharing your experiences. It was really interesting. So you guys were talking about the tag and the LGBT tag, and I'm not LGBT, but I'm a huge supporter, and I have LGBT people in my streams and like a community of people, and I started using the tag, and then I just kept going back and forth. Like, people would come in and be like, well, you're not, and you can't use it, or people getting mad on Twitter and this and that. So I just wanted to know, like, what do you guys think about somebody like me using the tag, and how to deal with those types of people that come in too.
Oh my God.
Oh no, here we go.
I'm gonna let them have a moment of angst about this.
Oh
before
no.
they
Did I ask a hard question?
So this is the thing, right? So on the one hand, like, thank you for being mindful of this stuff and thinking about it, but the A is not for ally, right?
Okay.
So like, using that tag creates a space for people who identify that way to like know and recognize each other. And so I don't know, I'm kind of protective about it, but it sounded like from the exhalations that y'all have some feelings.
I have a quick personal take, and it's like, I think, I don't want to be exclusive, but I think there's 1,000,001 ways to let everyone know that you're an ally, and I don't think that tag is the best way, in my opinion.
Well, I just want to say that, like, I probably didn't read through, like, enough and this and that, but a lot of people I talk to think it is, so I really did, too.
It's because
or, like,
it's
it's okay
official,
to use it, like, think it's okay to use it.
It's because the official Twitch description of the tag says
It's
allies
LGBT and
on
ally,
it.
so yeah.
Right, I'm not kidding. You can look at that, Twitch.
So
Take a look.
okay.
Shut that down.
It's very confusing. So
It's extremely confusing.
Yeah.
Well, and the other thing is that there is no like monolithic singular gay entity. We don't have a hive mind that all gets together and decides on one answer.
Yeah.
So it's totally possible that you can ask several. Shh! Don't tell them.
I'm sorry.
It's totally possible you can have several conversations with queer folks who will give you different information because we're all individual people.
Yeah.
And so it can be hard, right? Like, people get their advisement from different sources.
For me, I think it's okay, because if the intention is pure, that you really thought that, okay, because Twitch says that it's LGBTQ and ally, and you use it, to me, I think it's okay. But I still think that Twitch needs to have an ally tag. And then again, some people will say, well, shouldn't you create a safe space? Unfortunately, no. Some people are straight up telling you that, you know what, I'm not comfortable with the LGBT in my community, and they let you know that. So I still think they should have an ally tag. Do you guys agree or not?
Yeah.
Right, and if something like that existed, it would be the equivalent of like businesses advertising that they are like an LGBT-friendly space. You see this rainbow branding all over the place, and that feels more in line with that. But using the current tools, I mean, we can't give you permission necessarily, because there's only a few of us up here, and the community is much, much larger. So you kind of got to follow your heart and honestly listen to what people tell you, right?
Okay. The gay Avengers have to come together and decide.
Excellent.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Hey guys. Hey guys.
Also, really quick, can I add
please.
on that topic that I've heard a lot from my community, and for me personally as both a streamer and a viewer. When I'm looking through the LGBTQIA+ tag, I'm looking for people in LGBTQIA plus community. I'm looking for a queer space. I'm not necessarily looking for allies. You should be an ally regardless. And it's awesome that people are allies, and I think it's important for when people go to your stream to know that you are an ally, and you can do that by like putting in your chat rules, you know, like no homophobic or racist or, you know, otherwise prejudiced remarks, and putting your pronouns in your bio, always a good way to show that you are inclusive and an ally. But I think reserving the tag for queer people, showing that you're a queer space, for me as a viewer and a streamer, I think is really important.
Well, thanks. Yeah. We like applause and attention, sure. Go for it.
So hi, I'm Maleva. I use they, them pronouns. It's awesome seeing someone from Malaysia because I'm Filipino, so it's awesome seeing someone from Southeast Asia.
Your lechon is the best.
So I was just wondering, I know a lot of people online tend to be more introverts, and so with dating in the LGBTQIA community, how do you guys approach it if you are more introverted and you don't like going to like gay bars and stuff like that?
I think there's a desperate lacking need of queer spaces that aren't where there's not this expectation that you have to be you have to be over 20, over a certain age, and B, that you have to buy stuff, right? Like, it kind of sucks that everywhere you go, it's not like a coffee shop where you can talk to somebody and meet them. It's like a loud, scary bar or club, and it's like it's overwhelming. I completely understand.
Yeah, if I had an answer, I would give it. If you find the answer, let me know.
It is interesting because historically, you know, those spaces, right, loud bars and what have you, were places where queer people could like safely or semi-safely go and meet each other, and that's become very prevalent in the culture, right? Like if you want to meet other gays, you go to the gay bar. I think that obviously the internet is helping broaden those spaces. There are a lot of like shared activities that people will get involved in.
Discord servers.
Yeah, right, Discord servers, exactly. And they may be explicitly LGBT related, but they may be related to other things that are queer friendly as well, right? Like you might meet people that play Dungeons and Dragons or Magic the Gathering and be like, oh, well, this is like a queer group of players, right? And you can meet people that way. But yeah, I'm kind of the same way where I'm like, none of that stuff appeals to me, and I'm just like, well, I guess I'll just play D&D with you until you love me. Yeah. It works more often than you think.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Sorry that we didn't have a better answer.
Yeah, there's no answer. Sometimes that's how it goes.
Hi, I'm Black Mage Bear on Twitch. So funny about the whole dating thing. This is actually, I met my boyfriend through Twitch.
Hi, boyfriend.
Hi, boyfriend. Hi.
And we've been together for a year, and like just a little bit of a flex. We're moving in together in 2 weeks, so like super pumped.
Yes.
So about the whole, basically, would you say Twitch is one of the best ways to really like express yourself and your sexuality? Because if you looked at me like a year ago, I'm nowhere near as gay like as I am now than I was then. Like I've really like kind of blossomed because of it, because it's just a way to really freely express myself. Do you think it's just a really good way to kind of express the inner you, or kind of
I think the LGBT community on Twitch is the best community on Twitch.
That's true.
Yes.
Hands down.
I have a really deep-seated, like, close affection for Twitch and for this panel particularly, because for me, I can sort of divide my queer experience into everything that happened before the first LGBT panel at TwitchCon, at the first TwitchCon, and everything after it. For me, it's affirming, right? Being able to be myself in front of people and have them respond positively and be excited about that, have that be something that I can be open with, it's huge. Like every day that I stream, I'm a little bit gayer than I was the day before, and it's really nice. But that isn't everybody's experience, right? Some people, it can be very like, you put yourself out there, you're like, this is who I am, and maybe it's a bad day for that, right? Maybe chat is like, cool, we hate who you are, right? So it can be both, and I don't think there's one universal answer for everybody. Thoughts, feelings, panelists?
Well, for me, when I started, I was a shy boy 2 years ago. You guys will be like, you shy? It's true. I wasn't sure if people are gonna be okay and accepting and all that. But as time goes by, when you are able to find communities that are gonna embrace you, gonna accept you, the bitch will come out. The true bitch.
Yes, bitch.
Yes.
I agree.
Yes. The queen.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, when you're around queer people, you learn to accept your queerness and showcase it more and truly love to be yourself and being around those people.
Cool. We are like desperately running out of time. So let's if your question is fast, you can ask it.
Rapid fire.
Go. We got one more. This is it.
I'm Celtic Scribe on Twitch. Real quick, since we're talking about everybody up there being the gay Avengers, I just wanted to know what drew you to Twitch and what's your origin story about coming to Twitch?
One sentence. Go.
Well, I thought it's a place where I can get a lot of money from white people.
Boom. I mean, there's really nowhere else to go.
You literally
from there,
stole
so
my
that's
answer.
it. I feel like that we'll bring the house down. So this is the time we've been allotted. Thank you so much for coming. There's some space out in the hall where some of us might be able to go and migrate if you want to hang out and talk to us for a little bit, but we have to clear the room. Thank you so much for coming, everybody. This has been the Gayest panel at TwitchCon. You've been
Thank
great.
you.
Thank you.